this, it takes me quite a long time, but actually for a number of different reasons, there is a little less going on in the change area, if you like, than there has been before. I'm going to give you some, just a few headlines really. The first thing is that most of you will have now been made aware that there is going to be a second DSA starting in January. I'm going into a job share partnership from the 2nd of January, and I'm going to be reducing my hours from 28 to 21, which means I'll be doing 3 days a week. The new DSA, it has been confirmed, is a gentleman called Jeremy Carter, Jem Carter, he's known as. He comes from Wiltshire Police. He is currently working in Wiltshire Police in the Modern Slavery Task Force. But Steve and I have both known Jem for a very long time. Steve, because he worked with him for many years when he was in the police. And Jem was a member of our Diocesan Management Safeguarding Group for a couple of years when we both started 5 or 6 years ago. And he is coming in to work 4 days a week. One of those days, or 7 hours of it, is going to be specifically for the cathedral. So he is going to be dedicated to the cathedral on 7 hours a week. And the other 3 days, he will work with me across the diocese. So he and I will job share that role, which means you will now have week-long cover from Monday to Friday, because I will do Monday to Wednesday, and he will work Tuesday to Friday. There will still be 31/8 cover at the weekends, but generally you will get somebody during the week if you ring up. He will have his own mobile phone. At the moment, I don't know what that number is, but it will be made available on the website in due course, and obviously our out-of-office messages will refer to each other as well as 31/8. Okay, so he's starting on the 2nd of January. The second piece of news is that the National Safeguarding Team have been restructuring as well. Up until the beginning of this year, there was a National Safeguarding Advisor. Some of you might know his name. His name was Graham Tilby. You would probably have heard of him. If any of you followed any of the ICSA independent inquiry streamings, you will have seen that he gave evidence to that. Back at the beginning of the year, the Archbishop's Council decided that actually what they needed was somebody at a very much senior level than that, called a Director of Safeguarding. And to that end, they have appointed somebody called Melissa Caslake to the Director of Safeguarding role. She comes from a child protection background. She was in Kensington and Chelsea at the time of the Grenfell fire and actually provided quite a lot of significant help and support to the Grenfell survivors. So she comes with hugely relevant and important credentials. She took over in August as the Director of Safeguarding from somebody called Sir Roger Singleton, that some of you may have heard of. He was acting in that role for about 6 months. Graham then left in October I think he actually left, to go and work for the Birmingham Children's Trust. So Melissa has taken over. Some of the team up at National are still there, but there is quite a lot of change. Hence the reason why this update is going to be slightly shorter than it might have been, because there's not a lot coming out from the National Safeguarding Team at the moment, simply because they are restructuring. And if you've ever been through a restructure, you will know that the day job kind of gets put to one side for a bit while you sort yourselves out. And I think that's what's tending to happen up there at the moment. We've been waiting for quite a lot of training, which Jonathan will talk about, which hasn't actually arrived yet. So I think that things aren't coming out. There is a new policy director called David Warlock. He's on a temporary 1-year contract, and he's currently focusing on things like supervision for DSAs. But I think he's only there for a year, and I'm not sure what his role's going to be afterwards. Moving a bit more locally, the Past Cases Review, those of you who've been around for a while will know that 7 dioceses were instructed to repeat the Past Cases Review that we had all done in 2008. Salisbury, unfortunately, being one of them, because it was deemed that we hadn't done it properly in 2008. So we have been repeating our Past Cases Review. You may have come across the letter that the Bishop sent out in February to all clergy. They were asked to bring it to your attention. And those of you who were PSOs in February got an email from me saying that your vicars were getting this letter and you might want to help them with it. We had 100% response to that letter. Okay, we did have to do a bit of chasing in May and June, but we did get 100% response to that letter. And from that letter has been I can't think it's significant, but I think it's a reasonable amount of cases that we didn't know about from times past, 2 of which have caused quite a big piece of work on each of their own. The past cases review is now, I think, probably, I can say quite clearly, drawing to a bit of a close. The independent reviewers think they've got about another 2 weeks' worth of work to do on files, and then they will be writing their report. One of the reports will be specifically for the diocese, making some recommendations, and the other report will be for the National Safeguarding Team. Okay, if you want to ask me any questions on these in a minute, please do. I'll give you a few minutes in a minute to ask some questions. In addition to the repeat past cases review, all dioceses have got to do what's called PCR2, because in the first past cases review in 2008, they just concentrated on children. Now, PCR2 is going to look at adults who may be at risk and people who are victims of domestic abuse or domestic violence. And so, in addition to looking at child protection, we are also looking at adults and people who may be in a domestic abuse situation. So that is added into the piece of work that the reviewers are doing, and obviously in the letter that was included too. Now, we have been, in a sense, piloting this for all the other dioceses who are going to have to come up behind us, because they haven't done that bit of it, and we will hopefully, by the end of January, I think we would be able to draw a line at the end of January to say that this is now complete. We have our known cases list, which are the cases that we have agreed need to be sent through to the National Safeguarding Team and to the independent inquiry, indicating who we think has in the past presented a risk to children or to adults, or has been somebody who has perpetrated domestic abuse. And that list will go in as an anonymised list, but there is a key held in the diocese, so if the independent inquiry or the National Safeguarding Team wanted to follow up with anybody, they can do so. Okay. Parish Safeguarder Officer induction. We've been working on Parish Safeguarding Officer induction for about 6 or 8 months now. There is a leaflet that is available on the website for new Parish Safeguarding Officers, and we have just completed what we think is a tentative draft of an induction programme for new Parish Safeguarding Officers, which will be going to the Diocesan Safeguarding Management Group in January for sign-off, and then after that it will be available, and we will offer it to anybody who comes into post, and any of you who would like to take advantage of it. Most of you will have had some of it already, but there is a presentation that we are going to be delivering probably 3 or 4 times a year for anybody who comes into the role new, to tell them what the job's about, what they can expect, the sorts of support they should get, and what we would expect from them. That presentation, I have to be honest with you, I haven't written it. It's been plagiarised from both Bristol, who plagiarised it from Bath and Wells. So why reinvent the wheel when you can actually use somebody else's? And when I looked at both of them, I could tell that one had done it at the beginning and the other one had taken it from them, but I couldn't quite tell who'd done which. So I have to give them both credit, because I don't know who plagiarised which one. But anyway, that's the plan. So that will be available and be running out next year. Finally, risk assessment training. Those of you who've ever worked with me on putting agreements, safeguarding worship agreements in place with sex offenders will know that one of the things that I have to do as part of that is to complete a risk assessment. The diocese has recently made a formal process of risk assessment training mandatory for all DSAs. We all have to do a 4-day training, which is being delivered by the Lucy Faithfull Foundation. And those of you who are in the business will know that Lucy Faithfull work directly to prevent abuse of children, often directly with perpetrators of it. And they are delivering this training. I was in the first group in Birmingham that did it. But what this does mean is that it will take a bit longer to get agreements in place, because this is not a straightforward process. The tool that we've been given is very extensive and not complicated exactly, but there's a lot of it, which means that I would need to meet with the offender at least once or twice, probably twice, on my own with them, or possibly with somebody else, depending on how risky we think they are, to actually do this risk assessment. So when you have, if people come to you directly, and they don't normally do that, I have to be honest with you, they normally come to me. Probation normally ring me up. But if ever you get a call, or your vicar gets a call from somebody saying that they are a sex offender, or they wish to worship in a church, or there is one who wishes to worship in your church, please can you contact me, because I will have to do this piece of work first before the agreement can be put in place. We can use the statutory risk assessments as well, but they don't always make them available. That's our problem, because they say that they are confidential. If we are in the business of keeping people safe, I don't understand that, but some of them do, but not all of them.